Yeah, and if we were talking about the players, and there's a minor player, because I understand that the Houthis, and I don't know if the attacks are still going on, were attacking shipping in the region as a protest to what was going on in Gaza, that they wanted to have more support for the Palestinian people. And you had mentioned their relationship to Iran and the whole thing. So what part do they play in all of
Yeah,
this?
so the we're talking about Yemen. So Yemen, as part of that Arab Spring I mentioned, right?
Yeah.
It went like a wave, a tidal wave through the Middle East, and a lot of regimes collapsed. Egypt's regime collapsed, Tunisia's regime collapsed, Syria went into civil war, the Libyan civil war kicked off, but it wasn't really the outcomes were very mixed. The Egyptian military dictatorship collapsed. There was a brief experiment with democracy, and then the military dictatorship came right back in. In Yemen, you had an entrenched power that was based in the capital, and there was these sort of insurgents called the Houthis that were sort of in the mountains, and they were, affiliated. They're Shia. They're a different kind of Shia. The Iranian Shia, we call them Khomeinists. They tend to be look at it Islam as the role of the state. It's very much a
Mhm.
state. The Houthis are 12ers, a little bit of a different doctrinal split, but they were getting some support from Iran. And then this Arab Spring comes up and causes a collapse of the center, which allows the Houthis to come in and effectively try and take control. Now, it's never really that they've established themselves in control, but Saudi Arabia sees this happening and looks at its southern flank. And remember, Iran's strategy, Soleimani's strategy specifically, the double horns of the envelopment, and I'll put a map up to show this, where they're going through Yemen in the south to basically surround the GCC. So Saudi Arabia is playing a Cold War. They launch an attack, aerial bombardments, civilian casualties. It's been a real problematic intervention in Yemen. Lots of starvation, lots of humanitarian problems. But Saudi Arabia is reacting to this. These Houthis don't have, they're a non-state actor. They have the ability to launch rockets. They have the ability to do drones. They've been doing a lot of attack on shipping that's close to them and like pipeline infrastructure. They've even reached into Saudi Arabia, but they can't hit Israel from where they are. So now what you have is when Hamas invades Israel and has that thing, and Israel retaliates with Gaza and does all that destruction, the Houthi, they're a regional player. They can't touch Israel, but they can touch the shipping in that area and the bases, the U.S. military base in the area. And
Mhm.
those rockets are largely coming from Iran. There's
Mhm.
some of them are locally made, but Iran is the military supplier for the Houthis. So this is what Soleimani's goal was to create these proxies that Iran could use to influence. He doesn't need the Houthis to reach Israel. He can have the Houthis reach the shipping in the
Right.
Persian Gulf where all that oil is. He can reach Saudi Arabia. He can make life difficult for the U.S.
Mhm.
And this is what he had in mind. He's not here to see it, of course, because he died
Yeah.
in 2020.